A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Joad Abdin.
And I'm Rochelle Modra. Let's start off with a look at our headlines for tonight.
President bids farewell to Mahinda Siriwardana, commends his dedication as Secretary to the Ministry of Finance.
राज्य सेवक वगकीम राज्य सेवक हसुरवन्ने कोहमद राज्य सेवकයා සතු දින වගකීම राज्य सेवकයා සහ පුරවැසියා අතර තියෙන බැඳීම පුරවැසියා අතර තියෙන වගකීම පිළිබඳව මේ සියල්ල පිළිබඳව ඔහු තුල ගැඹුණු හරාත්මක අදහසක් තිබෙනවා. Why did the economy collapse? Retiring Finance Secretary explains.
අපේ රටේ පහුගිය කාලේ රාජ්‍ය මූල්‍ය විනය දැඩි ලෙස පිරිහීම තමයි මේ රටේ තියෙන මේ ඇතිවෙච්ච අර්බුදය සහ ඒ කළමනාකරණය කිරීමේදී අපි තමුන් දෙන විශාලම ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන root cause එක.
Kehelia Rabukwalla, his wife and daughter taken into custody over financial misconduct charges. 3 individuals, including neurosurgeon, remanded for selling overpriced medication through third-party channels. President's Council Rohantha Abesurya for President of the Court of Appeal. Debate on Iran-Israel conflict abandoned due to absence of opposition MP who proposed it. Iran and the United States exchange threats amid escalating geopolitical tensions.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, a felicitation ceremony for the retiring Finance Secretary Mahinda Siriwardana was held at the President's office this morning. The event was led by President Anurukumara Dissanayaka. During the ceremony, the President made a special mention of Mahinda Siriwardana's extraordinary contribution and dedication in helping Sri Lanka achieve economic milestones while strategically managing the economy during the post-economic crisis transition.
I witnessed a disturbing report at the Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital. Where is our society heading? Today, individuals engaged in a profession that is regarded as highly respectable and of great value are secretly selling medicine. What has society come to? Therefore, we believe that if we are to truly achieve economic transformation, a profound transformation of our social fabric is also essential. In that transformation, I believe there is much we can learn from the example set by Mahinda Siriwardana. He once personally told me that during the period when the central bank's gold reserves were being sold, the agony he felt. At a time when the country was sinking deep into crisis, he chose to live through it, pushing aside the tide. He could have opted to simply survive, but instead he chose to stand and fight to prevent the crisis from worsening. One can either succeed or fail, but what matters is having a clear conscience and being able to say, I stood up for this cause. I believe Mahinda Siriwardana took a stand. Therefore, we must reflect deeply on our public service. Let us always stand up against wrongdoing and intervene actively to foster what is good. The decisions we make at this moment are causing harmful consequences even for people who have no connection whatsoever to those decisions. The public service has become a mechanism that operates above the people with no relationship to the citizen. What is the connection between the citizen waiting in the passport queue and the officer inside the room? We must build a relationship of empathy and connection with that citizen. We must establish a relationship in which it is understood that he or she should not be humiliated or neglected. I recall Mahinda Siriwardana once said that there should never be shortages of medicine in hospitals and that we must allocate sufficient budgetary provisions to prevent this. However, he also told me separately that even though funds have already been allocated for purchasing medicine, some hospitals still report shortages. To this day, certain medicines are in short supply, not due to financial constraints but because of issues within the procurement mechanisms, internal bureaucracies and conflicts of authority, which I am well aware of. A major crisis has developed as a result. That is why we need public officials who can serve as role models, those who understand the responsibility of public service, who grasp how the system must be managed, and the accountability of a public servant, and the connection between the public servant and the citizen, as well as the obligations owed to the citizen. Mahinda Siriwardana possessed a deep, practical understanding of all these matters. Without such understanding, this crisis will not be resolved. There was a time when people thought managing the economy was like playing a game of cards, gambling essentially. thinking only of the short-term play. We have already experienced the disastrous consequences of such thinking. That is why managing the economy must not be seen as a game played in the moment. It must be guided with a clear vision, a proper plan and consistency. I believe Mahinda Siriwardana has contributed significantly to steering the economy in that transformative direction.
Mahinda Siriwardana, speaking at the event, noted that the 3-year tenure as the Finance Secretary was the highlight of his career.
day-to-day firefighting කියලා.
What we experienced was what is often referred to as day-to-day firefighting. The constant struggle was about how to make payments and how to settle dues by evening, and how to manage the next day's obligations. That was the reality we were immersed in. All of us worked tirelessly without rest over the past 3 years. There have been numerous situations that were extremely stressful and mentally exhausting. In July 2023, even I fell seriously ill due to a blood clot. I did not abandon my duties. I remained committed to my responsibilities. Throughout my official work, I consistently strive to create an environment where Treasury officials could work freely and independently. As I mentioned earlier, that effort was a continuous one and one that I undertook with great determination.
What happened to Sri Lanka's economy? This is the outgoing Finance Secretary's prognosis.
අපේ රටේ පහුගිය කාලේ රාජ්‍ය මූල්‍ය විනය දැඩි ලෙස පිරිහීම තමයි මේ රටේ තියෙන මේ ඇතිවෙච්ච අර්බුදය සහ
In recent times, the most critical root cause of the crisis our country is facing and the greatest challenge we have encountered in managing it has been the severe deterioration of public financial discipline. In truth, the profound impact this has had on the national budget, the broad economy and the country's external relations is what lies at the core of this issue. This is the fundamental root cause. Our primary objective at the Ministry of Finance has been to decisively reform this area and redirect it toward a path that is sustainable and beneficial to the nation. Having had this opportunity to serve the country in this role for 3 years has been the greatest honor of my 34-year professional career. Even though the administration changed during this time, I was afforded the rare privilege of continuing in this position. Through the confidence placed in me by the leadership of the state, I extend my sincere gratitude to Your Excellency, the President and the government for that trust. I also deeply admire the maturity and discernment displayed by His Excellency the President in carrying forward the policy agenda with continuity and commitment as the country gradually returns to normalcy. When business begin to recover, children return to school, tourists start arriving once again, and daily life begins to stabilize. I have experienced a quite profound happiness that is difficult to express in words. Broadly speaking, the measures taken so far have helped bring the macroeconomic situation to a more stable footing. However, that stability should not lead us to complacency. We must continue to move forward with even greater strength and determination.
නමුත් අපේ දියුණුව පිළිබඳ තෘප්තිමත් වීමට හේතුවක් නෙවෙයි. අප තවත් ශක්තියෙන් යුතුව ඉදිරියට යා යුතුව තිබෙනවා.
Mahinda Siriwardana also reflected on the past 5 years.
මම අප්‍රේල් 8 වෙනිදා වැඩ බාර ගන්න 2022 බාරගත් දවසේ නෙවෙයි.
I assumed duties on the 8th of April in 2022. However, I must say that I became aware of the trajectory this country was heading toward not in 2022 when I officially assumed this role, but 2 years prior to that. At that time, there was no one I could confide in. I went home every day and shared my thoughts only with my wife. There was little even she could do. The psychological pressure I endured during that time still remains vivid in my memory. If I am to speak truthfully, it is not just for the past 3 years, but for 5 long years that I have suffered due to this crisis. Knowing the path the country was taking and being unable to intervene meaningfully was a deeply distressing experience. No one paid attention to what I was saying at that time. Neither the Monetary Board nor the then governors took my warning seriously. I do not hesitate to say this now. It was clearly evident, like writing on the wall, that this crisis was approaching, but the warnings were ignored, and I believe that this is why we ultimately ended up in this situation. From 2020 to this day, I may well be the senior most official who has remained continuously engaged throughout this period. What I share with you now is based on that lived experience. It has been a profound honor of my life to serve Sri Lanka with utmost responsibility.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට සේවය කිරීමට හැකියවීම මගේ ජීවිතයේ ලද විශිෂ්ටතම ගෞරවයක්.
Mahinda Siriwardana also expressed his willingness to work towards the development of the nation.
Although I'm retiring from this position, my belief in and vision for the continued progress of our nation and the realization of the aspirations of its people will never waver. I would also like to state that if my support is needed in the future to contribute toward that goal, I will readily and wholeheartedly extend my assistance.
ඒ ලබා දීමට මා නොපැකිලව කටයුතු කරන බව සඳහන් කරන්න කැමැතියි.
The Finance Secretary was presented with a special memento by the President in appreciation of his exemplary service.
The Constitutional Council has approved the appointment of President's Counsel Rohantha Abesurya to the position of President of the Court of Appeal.
Senior Additional Solicitor General of the Attorney General's Department, Rohantha Abesurya, previously served as the head of the Criminal Division at the Attorney General's Department. He is an alumnus of Royal College, Colombo. Abesurya studied law at the Faculty of Law at the University of Colombo.
Former Minister Khali Rambukwala, his wife and a daughter were arrested this morning by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption on money laundering charges. Although the three individuals were granted bail when they were produced before court in the afternoon, they were remanded as they were unable to fulfill the bail conditions. Former Minister Khali Rambukwala, his wife Kusum Priyadarshini Apavihena and daughter Chandula Ramali Rambukwala were arrested and produced before Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayasinghe. The Chief Magistrate ordered their release on a cash bail of 50,000 rupees each and 3 sureties of 5 million rupees each. Bail was granted with a ban on the suspects' foreign travel. However, due to the inability to fulfill the bail conditions, steps were taken to take former Minister Khali Rambukwala, his wife and daughter into remand custody. Bribery Commission officials said before court that the suspects were taken into custody in connection with an investigation carried out under Prevention of Money Laundering Act related to the unlawful acquisition of 97.35 million rupees. Officials informed court that investigations were carried out following a notification made to the Bribery Commission by the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka regarding the suspects' suspicious transactions. They said that facts have also been revealed regarding 2 fixed deposit accounts worth 30 million rupees each belonging to the second suspect, the former minister's wife, and the third suspect, his daughter. Officials of the Bribery Commission also said that investigations were conducted into the life insurance policies belonging to these suspects, and information has been revealed that 3 bank accounts belonging to the suspects worth 15 million rupees each are held in the names of other individuals. Officials informed court that in connection with these investigations, a condominium property belonging to the former minister's daughter, Amali Rambukwala, has been seized, and a car belonging to the daughter's husband has also been seized and detained in the custody of the Bribery Commission. They stated that indictments have been filed in the High Court against the defendants regarding the allegations revealed in connection with this investigation. Attorney at law Kanchana Ratwatta, who appeared for the suspects, stated that the suspects have provided all necessary assistance to the Bribery Commission for these investigations. He said that demanding the suspects' arrest and remand is unjustified as they have provided documented explanations to the Bribery Commission on their sources of income. The case is scheduled to be called again on the 27th August.
On allegations of selling pharmaceuticals at inflated prices through a third party, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption took into custody 3 individuals, including Dr. Maheshi Surasinghe Vijayaratna, a specialist neurosurgeon at Sri Jawadanapura Hospital. Last evening, the Additional Magistrate of Colombo ordered that all 3 be remanded until the 24th of this month.
Dr. Maheshi Surasinghe Vijayaratna, a specialist neurosurgeon at Sri Jawadanapura Hospital, along with Hospital Administrative Assistant Kakulanda Liyanage Indika and Nimal Ranjit Muthukuda, were taken into custody by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Nimal Ranjit Muthukuda is reported to have been employed at a private institution allegedly operated unlawfully by Dr. Vijayaratna. The allegations against Dr. Vijayaratna include advice in the procurement of critical neurosurgical items, namely external ventricular drains or EVDs and ventriculoperitoneal shunts or VP through an external entity under her influence, bypassing the hospital's official procurement process and annual budget, causing financial loss to the hospital by not routing these purchases through the hospital's supply division, and facilitating undue financial gain for herself or third parties while placing an additional financial burden on patients. According to the Commission, the official procurement price of an EVD in 2022 was 17,500 rupees, while the current market price is approximately 46,500 rupees. However, based on Dr. Vijay Ratna's recommendations, these items were allegedly purchased from external sources at prices ranging from 120,000 rupees to 250,000 rupees. Investigations have identified approximately 300 patients who underwent surgeries during the period under review, with statements already recorded from 77 of them. The Commission further revealed that a significant number of these patients have since passed away. The estimated financial loss incurred by the affected patients is reported to be close to 30 million rupees.
On to news overseas, US President Donald Trump has stated that Iran must submit unconditionally. However, Iran has responded by asserting that it will never enter into any agreement with Israel and will not show any form of sympathy towards the Israeli state. Newsfirst, Kevin Machado brings us more.
US President Donald Trump called on Tuesday for Iran's unconditional surrender and warned US patience was wearing thin, but said there was no intention to kill Iran's supreme leader for now. As the Israel-Iran air war entered a sixth day, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that his country won't surrender and warned that any US military intervention would bring irreparable consequences.
President Trump's Truth Social statements.
Within the past 48 hours, US President Donald Trump issued several statements via social media, one of which emphasized the need for Iran to submit unconditionally. In another post, Trump claimed to know the whereabouts of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, describing it an easy target. However, he clarified that he does not intend to carry out an assassination at this time.
Iran's Supreme Leader responds.
Ayatollah Ali Khamenei responded via X, stating unequivocally that Iran will never enter into any agreement with Israel and will show no sympathy toward the Zionist regime. Quote, "We must give a strong response to the terrorist Zionist regime. We will show the Zionists no mercy," end quote. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei wrote in English on X. Quote, "In the name of Haider, the battle begins." End quote. Khamenei wrote on X in Farsi, referring to Ali's actions during the historic Battle of Khaybar. Iranian state media reported that this statement was made hours after the initial Israeli strikes, predicting a historic event that will be remembered for generations. Later this afternoon, Khamenei reiterated that Iranians are not a submissive people. He warned President Trump that any attack on Iran's underground nuclear facilities would result in irreversible damage.
Will the US join the offensive against Iran?
The US has not issued an official statement regarding direct involvement in Israeli strikes against Iran. However, President Trump indicated that the US is considering cooperation with Israel in targeting Iran's underground nuclear sites. He previously claimed that the US has full control over Iranian airspace and emphasized that while civilian casualties are not the objective, American patience is wearing thin. Reports suggest that during a recent US Defense Council meeting, even Trump's closest advisors were divided on the prospect of military engagement. A recent YouGov poll revealed that a significant number of Americans oppose military intervention in the Israel-Iran conflict.
Israel launches additional strikes.
Israel has reportedly targeted uranium-enriched facilities and weapon depots in Tehran and Karaj.
Iran launches more strikes.
Iran launched Fatah missiles toward Israel. Last year, Iranian media reported that Tehran used a new missile, the Fatah 1, in attacks on Israel. Tehran describes it as a hypersonic missile.
Air defenses are repelling projectiles over Tehran after Israel's Air Force said it was carrying out strikes on the Iranian capital. Israelis were also warned about incoming Iranian missiles and explosions were heard in Tel Aviv. The dilemma of whether the US should join Israel in attacking Iran or stay out of the offensive altogether has exposed divisions among US President Donald Trump's supporters. The Republican president reportedly is considering helping target the Islamic Republic's nuclear facilities following a meeting with his national security advisors in the White House Situation Room. Several proponents of Trump's America First doctrine have pointed out that he vowed to keep the US out of forever wars, such as those that led to the deaths of thousands of US troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. Meanwhile, other war hawks in the party are egging on Trump to target Iran.
On to more local news, the opposition once again requested a parliamentary debate regarding the ongoing Iran-Israel conflict. Although the ruling party agreed to the debate, it could not proceed as proposed due to the absence of MP Ajit P. Pereira, who had submitted the motion from the chamber during the evening session.
During today's parliamentary session, 20 opposition MPs submitted a signed request calling for a debate on the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict. MP Ajit P. Pereira stated that he would be presenting the motion related to this debate.
19 390 අද දින හවස 3:00 මේ විවාදය ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේක ජාතික වශයෙන් වැදගත් කාරණයක්.
හෙක්ටර් පුහාමිතුමා ඉදිරිපත් කර තිනවා කල්තැබීම් විවාදයක්.
Hector Puhami has already submitted an adjournment motion. Therefore, we cannot have two adjournment debates. However, if you are willing to take this debate from 3:30 to 5:30 instead of your adjournment motion, we are agreeable. Also, we must note that this debate was already held yesterday.
මේක අහගෙන ඉන්න. මෙතන මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අවුල තියෙන තැන තමයි.
Please listen. I believe the issue in this parliament is that the leader of the opposition has more leaders within his party than necessary. Now you are the opposition leader. Once you make a statement, don't let others hijack it. You must act according to the standing orders. Every time there are 2 or 3 experts here. Those experts want this. So we suggest the opposition leader consult with his experts before putting himself in trouble.
අඬ ගිහලා ඔබතුමා අමාරු වැටෙනවා.
පක්ෂ 12ක් මෙතන ඉන්නවා. නායකයෝ 12කට වැඩි ඉන්නවා. ඒ නිසා ඒක තීරණය කරන්න කරු කතානායකතුමනි මේ තනි දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක් නෙමෙයි.
මෙම විවාදය හවස අද දින හවස 3:00 සිට 5:00 දක්වා පැවැත්වෙනවා. කරු කතානායකතුමනි අපි විපක්ෂ සංවිධායකතුමාගේ ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා හවස 5:00 වෙනකම් මේ ඔක්කොටම රැඳී සිටින්න කියලා නියෝගයක් දෙන්න කියලා.
However, when the debate was scheduled to begin at 3 p.m., parliamentarian Ajit P. Pereira, who had submitted the motion, was not present in the chamber.
කල්තැබීම් යෝජනාව ඉදිරිපත් කරපු මන්ත්‍රීවරයා සභාවේ නැත්තම් කල්තැබීම් යෝජනාවක් නැහැ. මේක අලුතෙන් උගන්වන්න දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. මේක හරි සරල දෙයක්.
දැන් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මෙතරම් ජාතික වැදගත්කමක් තියෙන කල
This has been repeatedly described as a matter of national importance. We as the government supported the motion this morning. It is important, but the debate was already held yesterday. You know that in adjournment motions, if the relevant MP is absent, the motion cannot proceed. That is the rule. So it's very clear. This motion cannot be taken up.
ඒක කරන්න බෑ.
Honorable members of both sides of the house, I hereby adjourn the house until Thursday morning 9:30 a.m. You can't do this.
MP Ajit P. Pereira issued a statement regarding the matter on Facebook.
My vehicle was involved in an accident on my way to the parliament. I had to resolve this issue and was late by 4 minutes due to this. Therefore, the proposed adjournment debate was not held. I have no injuries. The matters related to the vehicle and the accident have been resolved.
මට තුවාලයක් නැහැ. වාහනයේ හා සම්බන්ධ ඒ අනතුර හා සම්බන්ධ කාරණා ඒවා විසඳගත්තා.
Far from the city noise, under a mango tree, children turn broken desks into a stage. They sing, they dance, they try. No bright lights, no big crowds, just a small school and big dreams. Change is coming. An open-air stage for the Kattaragama Primary School. Gammatta, for the people, by the people.
Let's move on with WeForce, together for a better tomorrow. Join us at the University of Kalania on the 23rd of June 2025.
Columbbo Mayor Khali Baltazar announced that the responsibility of building a progressive, sustainable and community-centered city begins now. She made this statement during her official assumption of duties as the Mayor of Colombo.
Colombo's newly appointed mayor, Khali Baltazar, officially assumed duties at the Columbbo Municipal Council premises. Following her oath of office, administered in the presence of Deputy Minister Sunil Watagala, she commenced her duties with blessings from representatives of all major religious faiths. Colombo's deputy mayor, Hemanta Kumara, also assumed office.
This day, as important as it is not a day that is just for one person or the significance of one person, but a day that symbolizes the struggles, the many struggles of years of work that has been carried out by so many who truly wanted change in the city. And today we have come to a significant standpoint. Today we are able to celebrate this, but we really do know that our work ahead is what we have cut out for us. This city cannot go forward with only the people's representatives. It requires the support of everyone that is involved in the Columbbo Municipal Council, and it also involves the citizen or the people of this country. So we urge you to continue to work with us. Our doors are open for everyone within these doors and also outside the city. There are 117 of us who are within the council, but we need tenfold that amount to be able to make this city the city that we deserve. It's a city of dignity, it's a city of happiness, and is a city of love and beauty.
Minister of Industry Sunil Handurnethi expressed his commitment to supporting efforts to transform Colombo into a model city admired by the world through collective action.
Colombo has become the city with the highest tax revenue, the greatest public participation and the strongest public interest. We have the courage and potential to make it a globally admired city, one of the most beautiful in the world. We are working as a team toward this goal. With the support and engagement of the public, we believe we can achieve this transformation. I must also say, this is a victory for the people who live and work in this city.
The Columbbo Municipal Council once again became a focal point of heated discussion in Parliament.
The actions of the Western Provincial Council Commissioner, seemingly influenced by the government's political agenda, were exposed to the entire world. Commissioners must remember that governments come and go. Public opinion is not set in stone, it changes. In just 6 months, your support dropped by 2.3 million votes. Who knows what it will be in another 6 months? We remind the Commissioner that playing with democracy to serve political masters will not go unchallenged. One day, she will be held accountable before the law.
Do not threaten us with lies. The Commissioner acted within her legal authority and with integrity. She stood firm and followed the law. Ironically, those who demanded a secret ballot before the election later opposed it. Why? Because they weren't even confident in their own party members.
The general principle.
Open voting is the general principle. There is no mention of a secret vote anywhere. If a single MP demands a secret ballot, it cannot be granted automatically. If it is to be considered, it must be decided by the House.
It
was like the New Zealand rugby team performing the haka before a match. Mujibur Rahman and the opposition made a lot of noise, drums, chants, the whole show. But what was the result? For the first time in history, the people of Colombo removed the United National Party from power in the Municipal Council. Mujibur Rahman should resign from politics. Enough with theatrics. This parliament is being turned into a circus. They call themselves the Sami Chanabala, but when Mujibur holds a press conference, Marika criticizes him and vice versa. Where is the unity? It's a disunited party.
After suffering a significant defeat, the opposition seems to have lost composure and is now attempting to disrupt proceedings within Parliament. They wanted the names to be called out. It was done. They wanted the names of all 117 members to be called out during the secret for the Columbbo Municipal Council. But when the results came in, 62 recorded as 54 and R61 correctly tallied. They erupted in anger and turned on the speaker. They boycotted the session only to return later hoping to save face. Ironically, while they were seated here, the control of the Columbbo Urban Council had already shifted. And who cast the deciding vote? A member of their own party. Now they're pointing fingers, blaming each other. It's like parents whose children leave them because of their own mistakes. The Columbbo Council was lost because their mayoral candidate had a pending bribery complaint. Some MPs, guided by conscience, openly told us that they could not support a corrupt individual for mayor. In Columbbo, the candidate who received the highest number of votes was sidelined and the position was given to someone from the party list. That candidate claimed to be the most qualified, but apparently there is no room for qualified individuals in that party. That's why, Deputy Speaker, he chose to support the National People's Power, stating that he would rather stand with someone who acts with integrity.
Two members elected to the Kandakatiya Pradeshiya Sabha from the Sami Chanabala were involved in an altercation. The conflict arose due to a contest between two SJB members for the position of chairman. During today's council meeting, RM Harshabandhu Ranavira was nominated by the National People's Power, while M. Priyantha Indrajit was nominated by the SJB. Interestingly, NM Vijaypala, also from the SJB, was nominated by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Following the vote, RM Harshabandhu Ranavira of the NPP was elected as chairman. Dhammika Vijayamuni of the National People's Power was elected chairman of the Columbbo Urban Council with the support of a member from the Sami Chanabala. The council convened today under the leadership of the Western Province Commissioner of Local Government. During the session, SJB members walked out, demanding an open vote. However, SJB member Susil Kumara remained in the council, ensuring quorum was maintained. As a result, a secret ballot was held and Dhammika Vijayamuni of the NPP was elected chairman. Susil Kumara, who voted in favour of the NPP, left the council under police protection. Late in the afternoon, the SJB announced that his party membership had been suspended with immediate effect. Meanwhile, with the support of the Ceylon Workers' Congress, the National People's Power secured control of the Nuwara Eliya Municipal Council. Upali Wanigasekara of the NPP was elected mayor, while S. Yogaraj of the CWC was elected deputy mayor.
News First with the people.
5 leading international human rights organizations have called on the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, to use his upcoming visit to Sri Lanka to reinforce international scrutiny and demand accountability for decades of unresolved human rights violations.
The letter, signed by Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the International Commission of Jurists, the Asian Forum for Human Rights and Development, and the Sri Lanka Campaign for Peace and Justice, expresses deep concern over the Sri Lankans' continued failure to deliver justice for victims of war crimes, enforced disappearances, and systemic abuses. The letter outlines a series of urgent recommendations for Turk's visit, including publicly call on the government to ensure accountability for violations and abuses of international human rights and humanitarian law, visit mass grave sites associated with civil war rights abuses, such as that at Chemani near Jaffna, as well as mass graves associated with the JVP uprising in the south. Publicly call on the government to fulfill its manifesto commitment to repeal the Prevention of Terrorism Act and introduce an immediate moratorium on its use. Any replacement counter-terrorism legislation should comply with international human rights law and standards, which previously published proposals known as the Anti-Terrorism Bill did not.
The launch dates of Disrupt Asia 2025 were announced today.
Disrupt Asia 2025 is Sri Lanka's premier startup conference and innovation festival, where visionaries, investors and disruptors come together to shape the future. A media briefing to announce the launch of Disrupt Asia 2025 was held in Colombo today.
The events like Disrupt Asia is coming into and doing a great job in order to achieve the much needed the capital inflows to the country. And also to support all these young innovators, entrepreneurs, getting the companies launched and becoming a kind of a world-class, high-scale companies in the coming years. So I think Disrupt Asia has multifold objectives. One of them are, like I said, the attracting investments, and also to provide the platform for our young innovators in the schools levels, university levels, as well as in the industry, to think about coming up with various new solutions that can solve local and international problems. Now with the AI kind of cutting edge technologies coming, deep tech is something that everybody these days talking about. And with these technologies coming up, I think small companies with a small set of people can even compete with much larger companies.
We feel there's a great opportunity for the startup community, and also the education is changing for good from 2026. So entrepreneurship is going to be a subject, and also the skills for entrepreneurship, the innovation, the creativity, the problem solving skills, all these will be embedded into the new curricula. So we feel that there is a great hope for Sri Lanka, and also I invite the Sri Lankans living abroad to be part of this wonderful event that is happening in September.
Disrupt Asia 2025 is scheduled to be held from the 17th to the 20th of September.
The Sri Lanka-Bangladesh Business Forum was hosted by the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka.
The orientation program for the newly appointed Heads of Mission of Sri Lanka 2025, Sri Lanka-Bangladesh Business Forum and B2B meetings organized by the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka commenced in Colombo.
Bangladesh is the 12th largest export destination to Sri Lanka. The total value of export from Sri Lanka to Bangladesh was $241 million in 2024, while imports from Bangladesh amounted $83 million. Bangladesh ranks as the 28th largest import origin for Sri Lanka. On the investment front, Bangladesh continues to be a highly attractive destination for Sri Lankan investors. Around 100 Sri Lankan companies have significantly invested in the banking and finance, textile and apparel, logistics, power generations, retail and industrial manufacturing sectors in Bangladesh. Over 3,000 Sri Lankan professionals are working in Bangladesh currently. I am confident that the partnership formed today between our two chambers will pave the way for a stronger, more dynamic economic relations between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh.
Governments come and go, private sector stay, and private sector is the main pillar that ensures that the economy stays well. The government therefore heavily depends on private sector. We have so many similarities with Sri Lanka in terms of economy, in terms of business sector. You had a lot of hiccups like us, pandemic, regalia, we had pandemic, we had the July Revolution. Every time there was a hiccup, these two countries, these two private sectors always showed the resilience. They always stood on their own 2 feet. So in this context, that it's obvious that both the countries, both the economies, both the private sectors should work together for a win-win situation in terms of business and trade. And we should realize one thing, that these two maritime neighbors, they are not rivals. They should complement each other, and that way we can create the synergy of 2 + 2 = 5.
A 24-member high-level business delegation from the Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or the DCCI, arrived in Sri Lanka to explore trade and investment opportunities.
The second day of the first test between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh got underway in Galle today. At stumps on day 2, Bangladesh were on 484 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. The first test between host Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is being held at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. At the start of play on day 2, Bangladesh were on 292 runs for the loss of 3 wickets. Bangladesh captain Najmul Hossain Shanto anchored the innings for the visitors, scoring 148 runs off 279 deliveries. His innings included 15 fours and 1 six. Rain interrupted play at the end of 130 overs as Bangladesh were on 423 runs. Play resumed nearly 3 hours after play was interrupted. Mushfiqur Rahim is the pick of the batsman, scoring 163 off 350 deliveries. Litton Das added 90 runs off 123 deliveries. Asita Fernando, Milan Ratnayaka and Tharindu Ratnayaka bagged 3 wickets each.
Hollywood actor Jeremy Irons, who was a voice actor in the world-famous 90s film Disney's The Lion King, arrived in the island today. This is for the filming of a new cinematic production.
Happy headlines.
That's a good laugh.
The voice of Scar, the lion in Disney's 1994 film The Lion King, belongs to Jeremy Irons.
Suppose you'd have found out sooner or later. You being so clever and all.
A prominent voice actor among Hollywood actors, he also won an Oscar in 1991. The Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau said that Jeremy's arrival marks the first time a Hollywood actor has visited the country in over a decade.
Happy headlines.
And with that, we wrap up your news for tonight.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.